All right, everybody. Vinny Milletti here with Milletti Law. This is part two of our series of being able to decipher this FDA, definition of a drug and how it applies with the FDA with supplements and products. As by way of a little bit of, well, first of all, number one, as always, subscribe below. Join the newsletter at www.millettilaw.com, www.millettilaw.com. And just, let's keep in touch, stay together, always delivering fresh content. I am sorry for the complexity of this content that's being delivered in these series of videos. It's the FDA in and of itself is it's not a particularly complex statute, but because it's so formalistic that it's very tenuous. It's a big pain in the butt to follow. So I apologize in advance for the content that's coming because it's very technical in nature. So I would suggest that always look in the descriptions and all these videos. My content guy, you will know him as Isaac. He's very he's very good at deciphering this nonsense down, so he will help you. He'll write it up in some certain way in the description that could actually make sense. All right, so let's get down to it. So in the first video we discussed what makes something a drug, right? And there are instances where just you labeling alone converts you into a drug. You can it's counterintuitive. It might not be what you think it is. It could be what is a drug under the Food and Drug Act could literally just be something that was just written in a certain way that qualifies it as a drug. So keep that in mind. Very technical, very specific. So today we're going to go down the list. Probably going to try to do two more concepts. The first concept is once you're classified as a drug, you could be considered a new drug. If it's considered a new drug, you're kind of in a bad position just simply in terms of defending yourself. If it's considered a new, so something is classified as a new drug when its composition has not met the GRAS standards. The GRAS is generally regarded as safe, generally recognized as safe. If it is not considered GRAS, generally regarded as safe, recognized as safe. If it's not considered GRAS, it's a problem. Something is considered GRAS if qualified experts within the field, within the scientific community underlying whatever field you're in, if it's generally understood and there's lots of studies and research on it and there's lots of proof on it, then it will be generally recognized as safe. Otherwise, it's not. If it's not generally recognized as safe, if it's a new drug, if it's some new product, a product that hasn't had a lot of study in it, then it's going to be considered a new drug. There's an exemption to it, if and this is where the kind of the research chemical comes into place. This the whole research chemical idea. There's an investigation if the particular product is used for the advancement of science and for for the advancement of society, right? So let's say you have this particular substance, it has all kinds of things, you make all kinds of statements, and the substance in of itself is used to advance overall health in people, used to advance science, it's used in research, it's used in scientific investigation. Then it's not a drug. So this is where you get your research chemical concept from. You get it from here. So this is why you could buy things online as research chemicals when they'd be prescription drugs in any other situation. So that's a kind of an exemption to that. Whether something's classified as a drug or not, or if it's a new drug. So now there's this concept of mislabeling. It's also known as misbranding in the statute. So if a drug or a new drug will be considered misbranded if it has or mislabeled if it has inadequate directions for its use, and as a result of the inadequate warnings against this use, it puts you at it's impossible for you as a normal person, as a lay person, to be able to use this thing safely. So, all right. So let's just say this one more time. So a drug or a new drug is considered mislabeled or misbranded under the statute if it has inadequate instructions on it, and if it has inadequate warnings for pathological conditions in children. Okay, so what does inadequate warnings and directions on a product mean? So let's say, I don't know, Jack 3D. This is something that just never seemed to ever find its way to FDA approval. Jack 3D, as you can see, this is very exciting content, right? So Jack 3D was a pre-workout stim, a pre-workout supplement. There were certain ingredients that were a problem to the FDA, and it was considered mislabeled, and they were taking it off the shelves, whatever the case is. So a product is considered mislabeled or misbranded when it has inadequate directions on it. Here is the rule. So now we got to talk about the flip side. So adequate directions means that the label states purposes and conditions for use of a drug so that even a layman can self-medicate properly. So in other words, that the label has stated the purposes and conditions for the drug very clearly, very succinctly, so much so that anyone can self-medicate effectively, efficiently, and safely. Now, but here's where the twist comes in. So the concept is there's a presumption in this country that if anything has to do with a new drug, or if anything has to do with like a new drug or a prescription drug, then it is automatically going to be then it's impossible to put proper instructions on there no matter what. If it's a misbranded or mislabeled drug, it's impossible to put adequate instructions on there no matter what, because if it is a drug or if it is a misbranded drug, then it can only be controlled by being reviewed and being prescribed by a licensed physician. So technically the statute is asking if a licensed physician can instruct properly, it's asking if just a layperson could go ahead and understand all this stuff and could self-diagnose. We're saying that because it's a drug, because it's a new drug, it's impossible to do so. So you would fall out of that statute, and automatically, just by nature of that being the drug that it is, no matter what instructions you put on there, it's all going to be wrong, no matter what instructions you put on there. So just a couple of things to consider, right? The first thing to consider here is, number one, if it's a drug, if it's a drug based on any of those first four categories and it doesn't meet any exemptions, then generally speaking, it's either an existing drug or it's a new drug. If it's an existing drug or a new drug, no matter what, it needs to be by prescription only. If it's by prescription only, where a licensed physician needs to give you the rules on how to use it adequately. If they don't, it's misbranding, it's mislabeled, it's wrong. You see this a lot with mislabeled products or products that make these claims that it's going to help you with anxiety, it's going to help you with speed, it's going to help you with strength. So all these things are problematic and they will give rise to issues of misbranding and mislabeling because, just simply put, there's no other alternative in that one. So it's because there is no way to explain it clearly that a layman can understand. It's by its nature going to cause a problem just on its own. So this is the second video. I'm going to leave this here. Again, I apologize for the content, that it's very technical. This is just what it is with the FDA. So if you have any questions, of course, put it in the comments below, put it in the sections below. Otherwise, send me an email. Keep trying to watch this. But in the next video, the next installation of the video, we'll wrap up first how this plays with each other. So once we take the claim backwards from end to front, it'll make a lot more sense. Because once you understand, once you take these goods and then you start at the end, well, they're not amenable to self-diagnosis. So the labeling is going to be off. Then from there you go back and the labeling is off if it's misbranded and mislabeled. And then you go back from that point, why is it misbranded and mislabeled? What did you say on there? Did you say something on there? Did you give instructions on how to do it improperly? Was it not in the public record prior? And then you go back to the beginning again and you see, hey, that's why it's a drug in the first place, because of the bad instructions. So again, sorry for this complicated content. It's very formalistic. It's very silly, and but I just want to make sure it's out there so you understand. It's something important. Again, as you become more into e-commerce, you're gonna come across this more in life. So we just want all our clients to be prepared and be prepared for whatever it is. So again, if you have any questions, leave it in the links below. Leave it in the comments below. Email me vmaletti@millettilaw.com. And yours and Law's love lifts. And I will see you later. Have a beautiful day.